Welcome to cleveland.com here inside Quicken Loans Arena. Cavs, a loser today, 109-90 against the Dallas Mavericks, one of the best teams in the NBA. Chris Fedor, Chris Haynes, and Joe Vardon here to recap this one. And guys, before we get into this game, David Griffin, the general manager of the Cavs, he had an impromptu media session, and he talked a lot about LeBron James, the injury that he has, David Blatt, all the speculation about him moving forward, some potential trade opportunities. Chris, what was your biggest takeaway from what Griff had to say today?
Well, I think the fact that he came out here and he made it clear, well, he tried to make it clear that this was not a vote of confidence, coming out and saying that Blatt is our guy, he's our coach, he's going to remain the coach. Now, that's fine and dandy, but what I got from it was kind of odd timing, because when LeBron went down, they automatically got a 2-week pass. And the talk of Blatt, being fired or in the hot seat, that talk is kind of subsided. So when he came on and talking about it now, it's bringing it back up to light. It's making it all fresh again. And usually, I'm not saying this is the case, but usually when the GM has to come out and say something or come out to his coach's defense, there's usually really something behind it. There's usually something really going on. So I don't know what the case is, but it was just odd timing for him to come out now.
Joe, David Griffin said, we are not making a change. We believe we have the right coach. Do you see any scenario at all this season where the Cavs do make a change with David Blatt?
Sure. I mean, they're not out of the woods right now. They're 19-15. After what we saw today on the floor, we should suspect they're going to struggle in some of their tougher games coming up. And then when LeBron returns, if they don't start winning right away, no matter what was said today, it's still a winning business. And right now, the team isn't winning. They have three max. I guess they have three max players on their team. There is no excuse, and there will be some sort of responsibility placed somewhere if they don't start to win, and that decision isn't made in this building. It's made in Detroit. And so, we're not out of the woods. I understand why we heard what we heard today, because the team wants to sort of circle the wagons and move forward and get to a better place. But between the losing and the injuries, it's tough right now.
Another injury today, Chris. Kyrie Irving goes down. Before we get to Kyrie and his injury, David Griffin did mention LeBron's injury, saying that it's a fluid situation, no real timetable for LeBron to come back. Did you take anything into what he said about the fluid situation and potentially playing on the West Coast trip?
Yeah, he divulged a little bit more information than what the Cavs organization has been giving us thus far. It was firm that it was 2 weeks, and nobody wanted to be commit to saying he was going to make that West Coast trip. Griffin said, yeah, that's a possibility, and that he could make those, particularly those last two games in the Clippers and the Lakers. So, we got a little bit of sense from that. But from the standpoint of LeBron being out and how serious this is, I've heard that, this is just part of the maturation process as he grows into his body, gets into the latter parts of his career, where he's just more of a precautionary thing than anything else. I don't think it's anything serious. So you can't, Joe may be on the trip, the whole entire West Coast trip, because LeBron could just come back for that Sacramento game. We never know. But, yeah, I would agree that it is a fluid situation.
I was going to say, Joe, what did you think of LeBron's performance today in this game against Dallas?
Well, he reminded me a lot of me out there today, and really has been all week. So, we're really growing together there.
What is your expectation for when LeBron returns?
Sooner rather than later. I don't think this lasts the full 2 weeks. And in part, it's because the schedule gets weird. The full 2 weeks would be on a Thursday night in LA against the Lakers. If he plays then there's a back-to-back the following night against the Clippers. It would be kind of clunky if he only played against one LA team and not the other, without any other kind of warm-up before he plays the Bulls, which is when they come back, the Cavs do, from the West Coast on Martin Luther King Day. So I would suspect, if not that first Laker game, I could almost see him playing in Phoenix.
Cavs a loser this afternoon against the Dallas Mavericks,
there was
109-90. There was a game, and we are going to get to that game, Chris, even though David Griffin was probably more interesting than the game, right?
It definitely was. We learned a lot more from David Griffin than we did the game.
Season high for Kevin Love. He had 30 points, but he didn't get a lot of help elsewhere. It was funny because Griffin said before the game that Love had the hardest adjustment to make of any of the big three. Since LeBron has been out the last 2 games and Love has come back from his back spasms, he's averaging 28.5 points per game. Is this a new Kevin Love, or is he just in a more comfortable role here because he's now the second option or the first option in the offense?
I think everybody hopes and prays that it's a new Kevin Love, but the simple fact of the matter is that he's just reverted back to what he was doing in Minnesota, where he was the main guy. And it looks pretty similar to his Minnesota teams out there if you look at the score. But, you hope, I think what the organization hopes is that the newfound confidence, the fact that he knows that, hey, I can still do it and I can do it at this level right here on this stage. I think they hope that translates over to when LeBron comes back around. Now, the problem with that is when LeBron comes back around, he's going to have a bulk of the ball handling duties. I've always said this. If I didn't say it, I should have said it. Is that the pecking order should be LeBron, Kevin Love, then Kyrie.
Okay.
And because I think Kevin Love is so much more valuable, and I think he's been underutilized. There hasn't been enough pick and pops, pick and rolls type situations for him. I think he should be your number 2 performer because I think he's best in that role.
But is that possible with Kyrie handling the ball as much as Kyrie handles the ball?
Well, when LeBron comes back, he's going to take a bulk of the point guard duties as he has been doing, and I think it's going to be up to LeBron, Coach Black as well, to make sure they implement Love into that number 2 role and to have Kyrie in that third piece. I think they'll be much more sustainable winning basketball games that way.
Plus, if you think about for large stretches of that 8-game win streak, the pecking order that Chris described was the pecking order. It was LeBron and Kevin and then Kyrie. And Irving had some huge scoring games in that stretch, but it was always Kevin first. Love had these, really big first quarters, double-digit points. LeBron was feeding him the ball. They let Kevin eat early, and then the rest of them got on with their business. So they've been there before, but they need to get back to it.
Chris, Kyrie said he was frustrated with this injury in particular because he's never had a back injury, and that's why he feels like it sucks. He injured it in the game against Charlotte the other night on Friday night. Obviously, it bothered him. David Blatt said that Kyrie gave the team all he could give tonight in the 3 quarters that he played. 2 of 9 from the field, 6 points, a season low for Kyrie. Now where do the Cavs go from here? Because they've been starting Matthew Dellavedova at the 2-guard spot because of the other injuries that they've been dealing with, mainly LeBron James.
I'll tell you right now, if Dion Waiters doesn't get that start tomorrow in Philly, boy, he is going to be one
angry. Yes, we know.
One angry individual, right? But where did it go? It can't go too small. Because I was going to say you put AJ in there, then you got AJ and Matthew Dellavedova. But then again, you playing the Sixers. You may can get away with that type of lineup. But you may move Matthew Dellavedova to the 2 and bring up Joe Harris, who has fallen off the map in the last month. That used to be Blast Dellavedova Jr. earlier in the first year. He was always playing Joe Harris. Now it's like, so I think if you're asking me, if I'm a betting man, I'm betting it's going to be Dellavedova at the point, Joe Harris, and Mike Miller at the 3. And if that's, hey, but what else? It's the Sixers, so it really doesn't matter.
I mean, it is just the 76ers, but think about where we are now here. It's the beginning of January, and that's the kind of lineup that we're talking about here.
Well, we should.
Are you kidding me?
No, we shouldn't be. They shouldn't overthink this. I mean, the owner drafted Dion Waiters 4th overall a couple years ago. He can start in this game. I don't think it should be any more difficult than that.
His hometown. His hometown.
It is his hometown. That's right. And I still don't think he starts. I don't.
Why?
Look what he did today. What you mean, why?
I mean, why does it seem like David Blatt is more comfortable with Dion coming off the bench than in the starting lineup?
Because Dion's the type of guy you don't want to give any false hope. Because once you put him in that starting lineup and then he does well, and then you sit him back the next day, and Dion's like, man, what did I do to get back on the bench? So I think it's one of those type of situations.
All right, that's a fair point. I can understand that. Defense atrocious again for the Cavs tonight, 109 against Dallas. Now, I know Dallas is an offensive-minded team. They came into tonight's game, Chris, averaging 109 points per game. But I think Blatt said it best after the game. We felt like that 109 came very, very easy against us. 56% from the field for Dallas. The defense has to get better, man.
There were a lot of buckets where they got layups and nobody was within 5 feet of that player that scored. And that's when you're talking about out of sync. And I saw Kevin Love on a couple of those bad defensive mishaps out there, just not being at the right place at the right time. And there's some disorder with LeBron James being out. But let's keep in mind, when LeBron James was in, they weren't very good as well. So this is just an ongoing thing that they're just going to have to keep improving on.
What the heck are the Cavs? 19-15 now on the season after this loss against Dallas, as Chris and Joe have been talking about. They're on their way to Philadelphia, short-handed, without LeBron James, without Anderson Varejao,
and without Chris Haynes.
Without Chris Haynes.
Or Joe Vardon.
Without Joe Vardon.
This team is struggling.
Without Kyrie Irving. So everybody just sent me to Philadelphia. I'll be there. Maybe I can give some more minutes to the Cavs. 109-90 the final against the Dallas Mavericks today. We will talk to you next time. Continue to check out cleveland.com/Cavs for continuing coverage. Good night from the Q.